Our goal now is to have our space data view controller display planet data when a user selects a UITableView cell. However, when our user selects the cell, we go to a picture of the planet. So how are we going to be able to segue to this space data view controller? Well, each UITableView cell has an accessory located on the right-hand side that can also handle taps. We're going to utilize that. For the sake of showing you how to do things multiple ways, we're going to perform our segue in code this time. First things first, let's add a detailed disclosure accessory on our UITableView cell for the view controller space OW outer space table view controller. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select our cell in the storyboard, the table view cell, and we're going to change our accessory type to detailed disclosure. So now we have this nice little eye here as well as this arrow, and we're going to be able to tap this in order to have our transition to our space data view controller. But we're not going to hook this up on our storyboard. We're actually going to do the segue in code. So now let's move this arrow in order to set the starting point of our application over to our navigation controller. And you can also zoom out if you need to in order to move the arrow. I was able to move it over here. And now we can run our application and we'll be able to see what our detailed disclosure looks like. So we now have this nice little eye here, but when we tap our eye, nothing happens. So we need to implement the functionality for that. So how are we going to do that? Well, remember that our OW Space Objects Table View controller implements the UITableView Delegate protocol. And remember that a protocol is simply a list of methods or functionality that we can implement. We are using it here to delegate responsibility from our table view to our OW Space Objects Table View controller. One of those responsibilities turns out to be what happens when our disclosure button is tapped. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into OW outer space table view controller.m file, and we can scroll down to the bottom here, and we're going to add another pragma mark, and we're going to call this UITableView Delegate. And let's add a nice space here. And we're going to go ahead and add a method here, and we're going to do void, and we're going to write table view, and we're going to actually choose the first option here, accessory button tapped for row with index path. And this method name hopefully is a huge hint to you that we're going to be able to manage the functionality for our accessory button inside of this method. And it's also going to tell us which index path, or specifically what row the accessory button was tapped for. So let's implement this now. We're simply going to add an NSLog statement in here to prove to ourselves that the accessory button is working properly. And let's use %i so we can see the index path.row, or specifically which row the accessory button is being tapped for. So if I press the first row, we see accessory button is working properly, and we see 0, which is the first row. If we press the fourth one, we see property 3 come out. So we now know this method triggers, by implementing this method, I'm able to add functionality when I press the little